For those of you who are interested in flipping homes, I would like to introduce a conversation that I rarely see discussed among flippers. And that is, so everybody's asking me, can you find me a home with 70% ARV minus repairs? And I said, so if I found you a home with 70% ARV minus repairs, is that going to be a good deal for you? And they'd say yes. And to me, that answer is too simplistic. It's too simplistic. Why? Because what if you have an area where all homes have been sitting unsold for over 6 months? The area is saturated with homes. It's right next to new construction, new build. You have a house 70% ARV minus repairs. 120 other homes are sitting unsold. And do you really think it's a good deal? Now, question to you. If this is the situation where you have a builder building next to you, 120 homes sitting unsold, pre-owned homes sitting unsold, half of them have every marvelous update that you can think of, and they're still thinking unsold. Do you still think that 70% ARV minus repairs is a good deal that triggers that sale? And I would say no. The calculation is too simplistic. What I would like to introduce is a new concept. So when you're looking at a flip, especially now, we're not in 2021 anymore. Things do not just fly off the market like they used to. I recommend it outside of the formula of 70% ARV minus repairs. You also look at what I call market saturation. Market saturation means how many unsold homes are on the market having the same types of updates that you're planning to install. How many of those homes are sitting unsold? And if they're sitting unsold, then what are you going to do different to make sure that you capture the buyers and those buyers are willing to pay you premium prices? Because many of you mistakenly believe that your price is going to be determined by sold prices. By sold prices. You say, let me look at the comps. Yeah, good. Let's look at the comps. What if the comps you're pulling from are from May, where we had a lot of business, where we had a lot of buying activity? But by the time you finish flipping your property and it's ready for the market at the end of November, what makes you think that the price, the ARV that you had in May is going to be similar to the ARV that you're going to have at the end of November? See, this is the faulty thinking behind 70% ARV minus repairs. It relies on a past data to predict something that's going to happen 5 or 6 months in advance. To me, that's foolish. But even beside the problems with the ARV minus repairs, the saturation question is rarely asked. Let's just say I have a friend who called me recently and he said, want to tell you about my very first flip. And I said, great, tell me about it. And he said, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Forney. And I have a great price on it. So my initial response was, why in the world did you decide to buy a flip in Forney? One of the places where it is extremely difficult to sell a property. No, it's not impossible. I just had a couple of closings in Forney and they went off the market in 5 days. But I was using my 72 sold program to execute that, to pull that off. It's not that easy to sell in Forney. But anyhow, so the concept that I'm introducing is that before you jump on a deal thinking, oh, I got a great price on it, look at the saturation of the market. The saturation of the market can be obtained in the local entries MLS using this button. So ask your realtor if you don't have a license yourself. Ask your friend realtor to pull up trends and entries. And from trends, go to month supply. And then look at the data for the property or for the zip code or for the city where you're planning to purchase. So let me give you an example. So let's just say that you have an opportunity to purchase a house and you have a budget and the ARV on that house is going to be between $300,000 and $400,000. Let's just, for the sake of the argument, say that all of those homes cost exactly the same for you to purchase. Will have the exact same rehab cost. And once they're rehabbed, they will have the exact same ARV. We have 4 homes to choose from, 4 off-market properties, same ARV, same rehab costs, but you only can spend money on one of them. So which one should you pick? Let's just say that one of those properties is in Forney, one of them is in Frisco, one of them is in Garland, and one of them is in Prairie. So tell me, where would you prefer to purchase and rehab this home? Now for Frisco, it might be a little bit unfair because 300 to 400 homes in Frisco are not very likely to be even available, but let's just say that they are available. Okay, so what I would tell you is that because you have the same ability to capture the margin, you have the same ARV and the same rehab costs. Now your next step is to look at how long it will take you to sell your flipped property once it is ready for the market. So let's look at our results. So in this particular case, let's recalculate it to resale. We're going to say that we're looking for single family only. So we're comparing apples to apples. We'll say that it's a 3-bedroom. And it's a resale rather than new construction. So we're going to ignore this for now. So if you're dealing with the realtor, tell them to ignore this for now, and just look at this at these 3 parameters. So what are we going to see? The month's supply calculation is an important calculation to indicate whether in that specific city the market is the seller's market, a buyer's market, or a balanced market. So typically, any market, and when I say market, it means Forney market, Frisco market, Garland market, any market that had less than 4 months of inventory is still considered to be a seller's market. And the lower is the number of months of supply, the more aggressively you can price your unit or your property. Why? Because the absorption, the churn, the turnover of the properties is happening faster. There are more buyers, or there are more sellers. No, my bad. There are more buyers, there are higher demand than there is supply in those areas where the months of supply is 4 or less. 1 month of supply means if people stop flipping tomorrow, there will be only 1 month left before the area completely runs out of properties. If the month supply is more than 4 months, then it is a buyer's market, meaning that there are more homes available for sale than there are buyers currently. And that means that you would need to price your home less aggressively. You would need to price it very, very competitively in order to attract buyers and be ready for price cuts if your property is sitting. The higher is the number of months of inventory, the harder it is to find a buyer for a specific property. Right? So let's see what is our months of inventory in our cases. So remember, we chose Forney, Frisco, Garland, and Grand Prairie. All of them are single family, 3-bedroom, and resale. We actually made no restriction on the pricing. So what we can see is that in Forney, we have 5.5 months, 4.4 months of inventory, which means that if no new listings happened starting today, it would take Forney 5.5 months to run out of homes to sell. What we also see is that as far as recently as May, Forney only had 4.8 months of inventory. It means that since May, the months of inventory increased by 0.6. So it's a big increase in the buildup of homes that are sitting there waiting to be sold since May. Now, what do we observe about Frisco? Frisco is the red line. On the red line, there's only 2.5 months of inventory, which means that compared to Forney, you can be more aggressive or more certain about your pricing. You can play hardball with the buyers. Why? Because the property will go under contract soon anyway. What about Garland? Garland is green. As you can see, Garland and Frisco, even though they're in a very different markets, right? Very different markets, very different demographics, very different prices, different everything, different reason why people buy in Frisco and in Garland. Nevertheless, the turnover rate is pretty fast. It's a half of the turnover of Forney. And then look at Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie is sitting at 2 months of inventory for 3 bedrooms, resale, single family, which means that if you had an equal opportunity to invest in either one of those properties, and they would generate the approximately same amount of same amount of return for you, my recommendation would be to invest in Grand Prairie. Why? Because then you can turn your property over, you can sell your property faster, and you can be more aggressive setting up your price than you would if you bought in Garland or in Frisco. And definitely you would get your money back sooner, so you can reinvest your money into the next project than if you were in Forney. Because in Forney, with a 5.5 months of inventory buildup, what is it that you're going to do that's going to set you apart from other home sellers who have the same updates as you do, and they're still unable to sell? You have to ask yourself that question. What I'm observing among flippers is that they feel certain that initial purchase price plus their improvements means ARV, means profit. But that does not necessarily happen. And why doesn't it happen? Because before you launch into your purchase, before you even go ahead and put the property under contract, investigate first how many homes have been sitting on the market with updates similar to those that you have been planning to perform, and why are they sitting? What was their initial listing price? How many price cuts have they had? Call the agent, find out how many showings they had. And just in general, investigate if somebody else already did similar updates to what you are planning to install, and they're unable to sell, then that should be a huge red flag for you, for your flip. It means that you are basically playing a fool. Remember, what is a foolish behavior? Doing the same thing, but expecting a different outcome. So my recommendation is not that I'm saying do not buy Forney. You know, it depends. I would say Forney is more like a buy and hold maybe at this point than a good flip situation, simply because how long it will take you. Now, if you contact me, I had a house in Forney in May, and we just closed in June. Very competitive. They had probably over 25 other properties listed for sale next to them, and several new construction developments nearby. We went under contract in 5 days with 4 offers and was almost 14K over asking. Now, I was using the 72 sold selling method. Unless you're using 72 sold selling method, you're probably going to be 72 sold selling method. I have a video on it. It's just a way to supercharge your listing, just a way to supercharge the sale. But if you're using like a traditional realtor who's going to do the 4 Ps, put the property in MLS, put the sign in the yard, put the lockbox in the door, and then pray, pray, pray. If you're using the 4P kind of a sit and wait and see what happens approach, you might end up just sitting, looking at your flip, sitting there unsold, losing value, and you're unable to get your money out so you can flip again, right? So your income per year may be less dependent on how much you're going to get from each individual flip versus how many flips per year can you perform, period. Because if you can do only 2 flips per year and each makes you 25K, then you made 50K. But if you were able to make 3 flips per year and each one of you made, let's just say 20K, then you made a total of 60K, right? So a turnover rate sometimes is even more important than the individual flip return rate, because if you're waiting for 7 months to get one property sold, it means that you cannot reinvest that money into something else. And then you're not only incurring the costs of insurance, taxes, holding costs, and your interest rate on your mortgage, but you're also incurring a opportunity cost of not being able to reinvest that money into a new project. Anyhow, I will get off my soapbox right now. I wanted to make this video because it's very frustrating for me when people are not using data that is easily available. And by not using the data, they basically put themselves in a position where they say, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? What you did do wrong is you didn't look at the market stats, not just the sold prices. Again, to me, forget about sold prices. Forget about them. Sold prices is for appraisal. And before you can get to an appraisal, you first need to have a buyer. So first, you need to look at how many actives are in the market. And don't just do one mile around you. Yeah, 1 mile around you, let's just say you're looking in Forney. Yeah, 1 mile around you, you might have 3 comps. But what about the rest of Forney? There might be 45 houses, just one hair outside of 1 mile. One hair outside of what you were looking for, and you missed them in your initial search. And that really buried your ability to make money on that flip, maybe even put you underwater. So to me, when I do searches for comps, I start with a bird eye view of a bigger area. How many 3 bedrooms, 2 baths are there total for sale in Forney? Let me show you. So this is Forney right now. Today is July 13th. So as of right now, there is 53 unsold 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in Forney, with an average of about 48, with a mean of 48 days on the market and an average of 67 days in the market. Now, some of the houses been in the market for almost a year. Some of the houses been in the market for only 1 day at this point. But as you can see, there's quite a few properties that need to be sold. So investigate first. Start with the bird eye view. How many unsold properties are there total in Forney that are not new construction? Okay. How long they've been typically sitting on the market? Now, understand the overall layout of the city, because the buyers do not say, I want to buy within 1 mile of that specific guy's home. That's not how buyers think. They say, I want to buy in Forney. And when they open Forney, they see 54 properties, and only one of them is yours. So start by looking at the bigger picture, how saturated is the market. Ask your realtor to run the month supply calculation in the entries trends tab. Make sure that your month supply is well below 4 and preferably even below 3. Then you have a good chance of it turning over faster. And then if you have a chance, invest in those zip codes, invest in those cities where you have fewer months supply, so you can turn over your property faster. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for sticking with me. My name is Elena Garrett, and I am a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. My contact information is below. Also, what I'm going to do before I finish, what I'm going to do within the next week or so is I'm going to potentially start building out a table of main cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. And I'm going to input the current for July month supply into this table. So you could see comparatively how different zip codes, or how different cities stack up. So this way you could say, okay, this city is on average 5 months supply, and this city is on average, let's just say 1.5 or 2 months supply. Let me go ahead and look for fixer-uppers in the area with fewer months supply, because chances of me successfully capturing the profit from the sale are just twice as high as they are in a slower moving market, right? Thank you so much. I think I overtalked this problem. If you have any questions about how to build a table, let me know. I'll be glad to show you the walkthrough how to build this table. And also, I do plan to create the table of main cities in Dallas with their own month supply. I will do my best to keep it updated monthly. So if you're thinking about flipping and you do not have somebody who can give you this data from their MLS, feel free to contact me. I'll send you, if you're considering certain zip codes or certain cities, I will look up the month supply for those cities. All right, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you on the next video.